The majority of NFL teams are in camp. Today was the last day for teams to report. I think Tampa reported today officially. They're going to jump out there. Vita Vea wants out, which is good news for the Carolina Panthers, especially if they don't trade him to an NFC South team. He's going to get paid $17 million, but none of his money is guaranteed this year. I think he gets like $1 million, which is $1 million. Carolina Panthers are in camp too. Today is the first day in pads. Joining us to talk about that experience, and I'm sure it was different for him, but we'll find out, is the host of The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Tim Donnelly joining us here in studio. Heister Automotive Group hotline. It's not a hotline. The phone is sitting next to us, but he's here. Tim, what's that first day like in pads? When you're done running in shorts and then you put them on, is it just all about finally it feels normal, or is it about, oh, crap, I'm about to get hit for the first time at full speed?
Well, first of all, I played quarterback, so every single one of my teammates right now is saying, like, you don't get to talk about this because we wore different colored jerseys. But there was one year where I was deep enough on the depth chart that I was the guy that the defense got to sack, so they knew how it felt. And the first day, it's first day in pads. It's actually kind of there's a relaxing feel because when you're not in pads, every time you get a little too physical, every time you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble. Right, it's the first time you actually just get to go hit somebody, and you're supposed to be hitting somebody. So it's a little bit more free flowing, a little bit more you don't have to listen for the whistle as much. You get to go play, and then at the end of the day, your head hurts.
You're the one guy that I hear on the air all the time, though, talking about preseason expectations and camps. And when camps open with veterans and rookies, we're out there running in shorts and tank tops and backwards hats. And, yeah, we've got the Guardian cap on or whatever it is, but we're not running full speed, and everybody looks good when they're not carrying an extra 5-10 pounds or whatever it is. So when you see Carolina Panthers out there for the first time today, who are you going to be paying – or who should we be paying attention to the most?
Well, first of all, I don't think everybody looks good in shorts and a T-shirt. I think certain guys and I have examples from my playing career, guys who looked incredible in shorts and a T-shirt. We put pads on. That's like what happened to the superhero that we saw yesterday, and vice versa. Some of the best guys I ever played with, when we're in shorts and a T-shirt, I'm like, this guy stinks. And then we put pads on, and suddenly he's ignited. So not everybody. So I guess the people who look great in shorts and a T-shirt today, I want to start seeing it translate. Every year, the first 5 practices, we talk about Xavier Legette and how awesome he looks because he's winning one-on-ones and he's gigantic and he's strong and all these things. He's slimmed down this offseason, so he needs to transition to that to wearing pads. I'm going to continue to talk about Jonathan Brooks as a running back looking healthy. It's one thing to be confident in a multiple-time torn knee when no one can hit you. It's a completely different beast when every cut could be met with contact and you're head on a swivel. You don't know where everyone's coming from. So guys coming off injuries, young guys that need to prove themselves. I'm still at the point where I don't care what Derek Brown looks like. We know what he can do. So anyone that has to prove themselves has to start doing so in a big way today.
It's Tim Donnelly, host of The Drive with Tim Donnelly every afternoon, 3 to 6 right here on 99.9 The Fan. Joining us here on Next Up. You mentioned the running back situation and Jonathan Brooks. Mm-hmm. He pretty much needs to be a pinball here for the next week for us to get a real good gauge on him, and maybe for him to prove something to himself too, because he just hasn't had the luck of health in his young NFL career.
If I'm the team, I'm putting him in as much contact as you can, which seems against logic, right? The guy that's hurt, why would you do that in practice? Why wouldn't you save that? But coming off an injury, you need to get over the mental hurdle as much as anything else. He needs to get hit hard and stand back up and flex his knee and go, oh, that didn't hurt. He needs to run through a tackle. He needs to do everything that he's going to do on Sundays, but harder. So he's confident that he can do it on Sundays. He hasn't played football in a long time. I'll use some of my history. So when I got to college, right, there was 1 year where I was the backup. I got hit a bunch. Then I went essentially a year and a half without getting hit because I never played in a game and I wore a different color jersey in practice. Once you get hit, it's like you got to be reminded. It's like, oh, that hurts a lot. You're not dead, but it hurts. You got to stand up. Your wind's knocked out of you. You got to make it to the huddle. He hasn't been hit really in well over 2 years. Now, what are we just throw him into division play. It's like, right, if Vea is still there with Tampa, it's like, oh, here's 340 pounds laying on top of you. Hey, remember what that's like? He can't learn that on Sunday. He's got to learn that starting today, really.
There's a piece in The Athletic this morning about Monroe Freeling and kind of him getting up to speed at right tackle and how he's been going up against Jalen Phillips and whatnot. And it was interesting to hear Canales say it. It kind of felt lazy to me. Canales talked about how he's like, he had told him, well, I'd hope that you would earn first-team reps. And, well, of course, you can't control the injuries and whatnot, but sometimes you just have to. For me, as a coach, to say that to him and for him to say that out loud, I was like, so you didn't believe in me, but you picked me high, and now you want me to go out there and do this? And I get it. And he goes, well, and Canales also follows it up by saying, well, there's a learning curve, and he's trying to get his footwork right. The dude was playing left tackle. And you're asking him to play on the opposite side of the line to do different things. How much of a learning curve do we allow for him as opposed to Canales? And I'm challenging Canales a little bit by saying, dude, why would you say that to earn reps? Like, no, dude, we drafted you. You need to be the 6'7" guy that we can't teach the height to, the 320-inch guy who worked out through the summer. Praise the guy. Don't go, well, we hope you would earn these instead of just shoving you in the lineup.
I've had this argument a few times on our show, which is you don't start earning things when you get to that team, right? If he might have earned his first team reps by how hard he worked at Georgia, right? He may have earned his first team reps by what he did to become a first round pick. If you are disappointed that your first round pick, who you passed up some dudes to draft, like there are some guys that would contribute that you took Monroe Freeling over, you shouldn't be disappointed. You should be excited that he gets those first team reps. As far as moving left to right, there are certain athletes that get by on technique, that get by on like wily veteranship. That's not Monroe Freeling, right? He's the basketball player that plays offensive tackle. I use it all the time. The highlights of him playing high school basketball are the thing that makes me most excited about him. And in basketball, you slide left, you slide right. If your feet are kind of out of position, you just have to use your balance and get back on position. He should be athletic enough, or he is athletic enough to play anywhere on the offensive line. And he's athletic enough. If he drops 30 pounds, he should be a fourth-round tight end. Like, he's that athletic. So put him on the right side, put him on the left side, it doesn't matter. You drafted him to play. You drafted him to protect Bryce, and now you have to go be right in your draft pick.
You think Ezra Evero's finally done yelling outside the facility after losing Nick Scorton and, understanding what, it's year 2 again of a linebacker decision, a linebacker loss for this team, where when you talk about impact players, they thought they had brought them all in free agency and everything was right. And of course, it comes early in the preseason. I understand that too. There's still the ability to make some moves and grow somebody or whatever it is. But if you're Dan Morgan, you're picking across the waiver wires, you're not going to get the gems unless you're going to pick up salary along those lines.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating Nick Scorton's injury. It stinks. It hurts the team. It makes their job more difficult. It lessens the impact of Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips, the big money free agent edge rusher, he's not a sack guy himself. He is a pocket collapser that creates the chaos that then others get to swoop in and get the sack, and that was going to be Nick Scorton. Now you're asking Jalen Phillips to do something that he hasn't really done. You're going to need him to be a 13, 14 sack guy. You're asking Derek Brown to do something that he hasn't really done because he's the best run stuffer in the league, but now you need him to clean up sacks. He needs to be in the 7-8 sack category, something he's never done in his career. You're asking Princely Umanmielen to do something he hasn't done, which is be out there for a significant amount of snaps. It's changed everybody's role. So if I'm, I jokingly say, if you drive by the Panthers practice facility at 1 o'clock in the morning and you see one guy like having an argument with the sky, he's yelling like, why me? It's definitely Evero. Like, it's definitely him out there going, finally, they gave me all the pieces. Devin Lloyd, Jalen Phillips. We have the everybody else kind of under contract, and immediately you take away what was supposed to be the breakout player on the defense in Nick Scorton. It's not the end of the world, and it happened early enough that you should be able to pivot and figure out what you want to do. But don't downplay the impact of losing a player like that so darn early in the season.
Tim Donnelly, The Drive, every afternoon, 3 to 6. Catch him at 3 o'clock. Tim, appreciate the insight, dude.
Thank you very much.
All right. Again, 3 to 6, Tim Donnelly, The Drive, and more. Once they have camp today, you'll get plenty of analysis from him this afternoon, and maybe Dave Canales will say something positive. No, I'm joking. He always says positive stuff. Like, he's like the golden retriever of the NFL. Go get me a win, Dave. Go get it. Okay.
I'm Max Goren with 3 things you need to know right now from 99.9 The Fan. Carolina Panthers cornerback J.C. Horn has been activated from the active non-football injury list this morning, meaning he will join the team for the first day of padded practice at training camp. Horn suffered a cut on his toe while running before camp, but has been running individually on the sidelines during the first days of practice. As reported Monday morning, UNC football GM Michael Lombardi has been placed on paid administrative leave by the university. UNC football is also being investigated by the College Sports Commission, which handles compliance and enforcement of NCAA and NIL rules, according to Pablo Torre. Carolina opens up fall camp on Thursday. The Durham Bulls remain in first place after last week's series split in Memphis, and they begin a series with the Gwinnett Stripers tonight at the DBAP. Bulls coverage is available on 620 AM Buzz Sports Radio, 99.9 FM HD2, and WRAL News Plus, with first pitch scheduled for 6:45 p.m. For all the latest news on your favorite teams, download the 99.9 The Fan app or visit 999thefan.com.
The NHL offseason has been interesting. By the way, the Carolina Hurricanes, for those of you who need a lunchtime break after you're done listening to the podcast of this show, the Carolina Hurricanes dropped their final episode recapping the year, their Behind the Storm YouTube series that they did, episode 12, which, again, 12 episodes, that's a lot of work being done over there. And by the way, they're very well done. They use clips from a lot of our programs here, a lot of play-by-play clips from Mike and Tripp. It's about the Stanley Cup win. Made me tear up a little bit because you got to get a little bit more. I think the best part of it was at the end towards but there was a point between the parade and then the on-ice celebration after Game 6. And you got to see a little bit more of the interaction between the players, and I think that was the most poignant part of the whole episode. We had seen highlights. You remember all the goals, the Jarvis goals, the Jankowski goals, the Ehlers goals, and whatnot. You remember in the stall fall down goal, which he said he was tripping. By the way, he was tripping. It wasn't. He said it was a slow down moment. We've talked about how goals create slow down moments. It was a slow down moment for him, but he was actually tripping over himself when he scored that goal. Take some of that mystique out of it, but doesn't make it any less important to our world. So anyway, check that one out. It's worth the watch. The NHL offseason's been interesting, and the Carolina Hurricanes have not done anything with Alexander Nikishin, by the way. There's your update 50 minutes into the program, and Alexander Nikishin remains unsigned. Remains unsigned. In Edmonton, they hired a new head coach, Mike Babcock, who went through an investigative period, of course, because of the time that he had the Columbus Blue Jackets and pictures on phones and kind of weird things that were going on. And the Edmonton Oilers said, you know what, we're going to run with you. And then we were like, okay, well, we haven't heard from the players about this hire. And one of the players that was most important to make sure that he is in a good spot, is their captain, Connor McDavid. And there was a golf tournament. There was an annual golf tournament for Zach Hyman in Toronto. And many of the Edmonton Oilers players were there, which included Zach Hyman, of course, who's a part of this Edmonton team, as well as Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl there as well. And McDavid, when asked about it last week, said, I want to be pushed. I can be better. Leon can be better, talking about Draisaitl. Bush can be better, and I think Mike can do that for us. They want him to be a, quote, hard ass with them. To where Edmonton, who has been to the Stanley Cup final very recently in back-to-back seasons, except this last year when the Canes took out of Vegas, they just weren't able to get over the top. And now they feel, and they're in a good spot with having this new head coach because he's coached in the big games and has won a Stanley Cup final and has won gold medals for Canada and has won a World Cup, has been in all these high-pressure situations. And they're thinking right now in Edmonton, it's leadership. But the most important person that they needed to satisfy was Connor McDavid, because McDavid took a pay cut to stay. And he is the exact same age as Sebastian Aho. Sebastian Aho, though, has a Stanley Cup and a picture to prove it and a party in front of a Finnish rock festival. Connor McDavid has not tasted that, in where the argument has been and will be until he gets a cup, especially in Edmonton, where they have had more questions about defense, more questions about health, more questions about goaltending, and now they're asking questions and answering questions about head coaches to where are we wasting one of the most incredible generational talents on the planet because he hasn't won that cup? And yes, championships define greatness. Fairly or unfairly, they do. But the guy you have to please the most, who's on a 2-year contract right now at $12.5 million with no movement clauses, not that those mean anything anymore, that he has to be happy. He must be happy for 2 years, because if he walks at age 31, he's still going to get paid some pretty big money. He just won't be scoring goals in Edmonton. And that would be a shame, right? That would be a shame for the league. That would be a shame for Edmonton. And that would be a shame for Connor McDavid, who stuck it out through loyalty. And there's something to be said about loyalty. I appreciate that more than anything else. He did not run for the greener pasture. He could have.
He could have gotten paid, too.
He's had more than enough opportunity to do so, Max.
Yeah, that $12.5 million, like, Connor McDavid's one of the few players around the league where you can be like, wow, like, he took a real team-friendly discount, taking only $12.5 million for over the next couple of years.
And they still have money to work with. Now.
Some of the decor, I don't know. I just don't know if they have the decor. Like, Bouchard is a great player, offensively incredibly gifted. Just has those moments, those lapses on the defensive end that cost them. And then I just don't know about the forward depth surrounding them. I understand maybe the coaching change, but I don't know. And of Babcock, of all coaches, to try to get in there and shake things up, like, I guess I get it. You want a coach that's going to be a little bit harder on you and motivate you to try to get over that hump. But, I mean, they won the Stanley Cup. We won it with the Red Wings in, 2008?
2008.
18 years ago. And then more recently, he's had these disasters where he's gotten fired and investigated and everything like that. So I don't see this working out.
Well,
I don't see it working out for Edmonton. I think after these 2 years are up for McDavid, I think he's going to be either playing elsewhere, or it's going to be like $20 million for him to stay in Edmonton.
Well, he seems to be okay with the 3 goalie rotation, though, with Tristan Jarry, the newly signed Freddie Anderson, and Devin Levi. He says he's okay with it.
Levi's going to be that's a break glass in case of emergency / when Frederick Anderson goes down with an injury. I love him, but he will miss time during the season. There's almost no doubt about that.
He only needs to play 35, earn some money.
And that's good. It's a good role for him, and he's going to and he may end up being the playoff starter there. I think that's a good move for him and for Edmonton.
You know what he gets for 10 games played there? $600,000. He has to play 10 games. $600,000, and he basically earns another $1 million if he plays 20. That's crazy. So McDavid's happy. All is right in the NHL, with the exception of Alexander Nikishin still not having signed a deal with the Canes.